119 to 116, so Maxey will go to the line for two. The first one is up, and he knocks it down. So there's 38 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Sixers down by 2. Daniel House Jr. will sub in for George Niang. Interesting. 12 points for Maxey, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. He's been very quiet in this game. Can he make it a one-point game? Yes. Both teams have one timeout left. 119 to 118. Sixers down by 1. They were down by as many as 21 points earlier in this game. Lillard at the Sixers logo. 15 seconds left on the shot clock. Less than 30 seconds on the game clock. D'Anthony Melton stepping on him as his defender. Lillard takes it inside the lane, goes up with it, and the ball gets blocked and stolen away by Maxey. The block goes to D'Anthony Melton. Shot clock unplugged. 16 seconds left. Harden with the ball at the Sixers logo. Harden looking for somebody. Gives it up to Embiid. Embiid almost lost his dribble. 8 seconds left to go. Embiid, foul line jumper. It's up, and what are they going to do? Are they going to call a timeout? They will. They called a timeout. I didn't see any sort of signal from a ref for a timeout, but they do call timeout. 7.2 seconds left. That was their last timeout. How about the defense, though, by D'Anthony Melton? Whew. My heart is racing. Melton with that big block on Lillard. Lillard was going up right in the lane, and he had the left hand up, and Melton just swatted it right away, and it was stolen by Maxey. Wow. Hold on. All right. This is where I want to see James Harden. I do. I want to see Harden with the ball now. Who do you want? Oh, okay. Who do you want the ball? Who do you want to have the ball? Harden, Embiid, name me a player. What needs to be the call here? Absolutely. You want Harden with the ball. Okay, so JC wants Harden with the ball. Okay. Wow. That was the Sixers' last time out. 7.2 seconds left. James has to be... Yep, okay, thank you. Sixers have not led at all whatsoever tonight. They've tied the game a couple of times down the stretch. 119 to 118. The Sixers have scored 33 points in this fourth quarter, and their defense has been very solid. Harden's going to inbound it with 7.2 seconds left. Both teams don't have a foul to give. They're in the bonus. Harden will get the ball, and now he has to inbound it. He's trying to find somebody. Maxey goes falling down, but Embiid gets the inbound. 5 seconds left on the game clock. Shot clock unplugged. Embiid spins, moves for the game winner. Yes! He goes up, and the Sixers take the lead. 120 to 119 with 1.1 seconds left. A turnaround jumper by Joel Embiid with a hand in his face, and the crowd is loving it. Everybody's on their feet. Wow. Embiid went tumbling all the way down, and he's telling the fans to pour it on. Still 1.1 seconds left, though. Timeout called by Chauncey Billups. Whew. Man, they still have enough time to get a shot off. Oh, my gosh. Come on. You got to close this out. Okay, now Jalen McDaniels has to come in. There is no question about it. They need him for defensive purposes. Who do you want out there on the court for the Sixers defensively? Because I want McDaniels, I want Melton, and I also wouldn't mind taking Tucker out there too. I'm okay with them pulling Maxey for this. That was huge. That was clutch. That somehow worked out. I think it was actually a broken play, to be honest, but I guess it wasn't. Whew. That was another foul line jumper. All right, 121 to 120. Or sorry, 120 to 119, I should say. Sorry. 1.1 seconds left. Portland's going to inbound it. The Sixers have their first lead of the game. They were down by 21 points. Can they hang on here with 1.1 seconds left? Inbounding it is going to be Reddish. Reddish on the near sideline. Both teams have no timeouts. The ball gets deflected. Here's Lillard. He pulls up for a three. It's up, and it's no good, and the Sixers win. They come from behind. Joel Embiid and the 76ers. They come back and beat the Portland Trailblazers as the Trailblazers bench is stunned. Still in disbelief. Embiid hugging everybody on the Sixers bench. Great defense by DeAnthony Melton, and I mean, that just cannot go unnoticed. Lillard got the inbound. He was right in between the wing and the top of the key, the far wing that was, and he got it, and as soon as he got the ball, he lost the dribble a little bit, and he took a half-court logo shot, and I don't think it would have counted anyways, but it missed. And the Sixers win 120-119 and hang on at the very end. They didn't even take the lead until 1.1 seconds left in this ball game. That is incredible. Ay, ay, ay. Are you kidding me, man? What a game. That was unbelievable. Sorry, I have a little bit of food in my mouth. I was just trying to swallow as I was trying to do that. Why is this? There we go. Nope, I had it right before. There we go. What's going on, guys? My name is Jason Joseph. This is Play by Play with JJ, where we do Sixers postgame shows, where we also do Sixers live streams. We also do Phillies postgame shows, Phillies live streams, Patriots postgame shows, Patriots live streams. I'm so fired up, man. What a win. What a win. I don't know how they won this game. If you were to tell me that Anthony Simons would have 8 threes in this game, I'd be like, you'd be so crazy to feel like that the Sixers would somehow win this game. If I were to tell you that the Sixers were down by 21 points at one point, I would have said that you're out of your mind. If I were to tell you that James Harden wouldn't necessarily have a good game whatsoever, I tell you that the Sixers would probably lose this game. This team was trailing for 47 minutes and 58 seconds of the game. They didn't take the lead. Their first lead was Embiid's jumper. And that jumper, by the way, you want to talk about guts? You want to talk about balls? You want to talk about clutch? That was an MVP shot. With a hand in his face, a step-back jumper, a center who hits a step-back turnaround jumper and falls right to his butt, and he nails it. In what world? That was arguably their most impressive win of the season. I think that the most important game, and I know that we still have the whole season to go back on, or we have more of the season to go down, but that Milwaukee game, that was really important, but this was just flat out impressive. They had no business being in this game, and yet DeAnthony Melton's defense at the end was clutch. Joel Embiid's defense at the end of the game was staggering. It was so good. He was playing lockdown defense. They got their acts together, and they got it done. I just don't, I can't wrap my head around this. I can't. I'm just in awe with what this team can do and how much firepower they have, because I've seen a very consistent theme where in the fourth quarter, they clamp down. They get their acts together. They have this dog mentality where they just don't want to go away. They make it so close. The games come down to the wire. And yet they They find ways. That can't go unnoticed. They can compete with anybody in the Eastern Conference. I'm not telling you definitively that they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm just telling you that when they put it all together, they can compete with anybody. And they showed you tonight that they are a team that should not be reckoned with. They are such a good dynamic team that when the minds come together, they can do anything down the stretch. I was just off the I just got off the phone with one of my buddies, and he told me I have never said in quite some time where I actually trust this team down the stretch. Like when the game is so close and down to the wire, I've never done that before. That's what he told me. They have it. Doesn't matter if Harden's closing it or not, or if Embiid's doing it. They can just get it done. There have been a lot of close games this season, and the fact that they just stay involved with all of their deficiencies that they have, right? With the head coach not making the right plays at the right time. How in what world are you sitting Joel Embiid out until 6.5 minutes are left in the game? He's on the bench for 6 minutes, and he comes back in that late. They're down by 12, and he wheels you back to that victory. How? If that's not MVP to you, I don't know what is, man. I don't know what is. This dude had 39 points in 3 quarters of play in his last game that he played against Minnesota. And then the night before, he has 42 points. He is just that good. We need to stop criticizing, right? That Joel is the problem. In what world is he the problem? He is literally doing everything that he possibly can to help this team be put in a good position to just go far in the playoffs. You need the superstars. That's the number one thing that you need. Your superstars are going to wheel you as far as they possibly can go. And why not Joel? Why not James Harden? Even though he didn't have the best night, he finally came up big in the fourth quarter. But that win to me tonight, they had no business winning this game. And they were trailing. I'm going to say it again. They were trailing for 47 minutes and 58 seconds of the game. And at one point, they were down by 21 points. I just still can't get over the fact that I'm watching this big man whose number is 21 off of an inbound pass that he gets. He has this fadeaway reverse jumper from the foul line with a hand in his face. I'm still breathless, bro. I'm still shocked. I'm fired up. I'm literally at the point where I could go run a marathon. I can go run around my whole development right now. Because that's how good I feel. Portland is not an elite team. They're a good team. They're better than their stats show, than their record shows. But that win was huge. It was absolutely huge. And I want to start off and I want to talk about Paul Reed. Okay, we're going to start right there. I thought that Reed actually had some good moments tonight. There were times like where, okay, he missed a couple of bunnies, but he was staying at it with, with the centers down low. I thought that at some points, he gave Drew Eubanks a little bit of trouble, and he played really good defensively. And I know that we keep talking about this, but getting by without Joel on the court, that's going to be a big thing. And tonight, I thought that he specifically tried to hold the fort down as much as possible, and I give him a lot of credit tonight. I was not so happy with the lack, I wasn't so happy with the lack of effort in the very first half. I thought that a lot of people were just standing around on the offensive side, and it was a lot of just ISO ball. Tobias Harris ISOs, they need to stop. They need to stop. But the fact that you, with all these things facing you, right? Like the refs at the end, the refs wanted Jusuf Nurkic and the Portland Trailblazers to win, in my opinion, from what I saw. And yet, with all the adversity that you dealt with, you won. In what world? This was an iconic win to me. And while the Milwaukee game is the most important game of the season so far, this win just proved me right about this team, that they could compete with anybody in the Eastern Conference. I'm not telling you that they're going to win the East. I'm not telling you that they're going to even go to the Eastern Conference Finals, but they can compete with anybody in the league. Anybody. When you're watching Joel Embiid out there do whatever he can, how does he not show you that he is the best player in the NBA? How does he not show you that? The eye test, when you see the defense that he brings and how he's able to guard like 1 through 5 at times, like when he really wants to, in those fourth quarters, that defense that he brings changes everything. It does. He, to me, is the best two-way player in the league. You look at the impact just from the eye test, and you see what he does defensively. You see like what he can do down low in the block, but he can also guard guys on the perimeter and even a couple of guys on the wing. And yet he can also get you big-time buckets like that. That was an MVP shot that he took and that he made at the end. It wasn't just a miracle. That was skill. That was a Kobe Bryant-esque type of a shot. And I don't know anybody that could hit that type of a shot. That shot has been stuck in my head. And man, I think that sometimes we just take Joel for granted because he is just that good. He's that solid of a player. You're not in the position that you are in without Joel Embiid. Clear as day. And that's factual. Let's talk about Tyrese Maxey. Okay, Maxey did not have the best game whatsoever. But I will tell you, at the end of the game, he started to have a little bit of like a nice run. And I saw him running more of the offense for Joel at times. And I kind of liked that. He made some big-time foul shots at the end, too. He also had like a nice floater that he hit to tie the game. So I have to kind of tip my cap to him because in the guts of the game, he was sensational. He played really well. DeAnthony Melton's defense was outstanding in that fourth quarter. He locked up Damian Lillard like I've never seen anybody lock him up before. It's not so easy to guard him. He can shoot from anywhere. He likes to get around a lot of screens, and even though the hot hand tonight was in Anthony Simons' hands, there were times like where he switched up and he played on him, and he did a good job on him as well. This was just a win where you just say to yourself that they had no business in that first half, especially even in the third quarter. Like during the middle of that third quarter, like they started off the third quarter strong, but then like towards the middle of it, they were just like losing momentum. But then they just got their acts together. And even though Doc didn't even bring back Joel Embiid until 6.5 minutes left in the game, and they were down by 12, they just still won. I'm in shock. Am I overreacting? Or is this something that you're shocked about too? This was impressive. Again, I'm not going to tell you that they're going to be the Eastern Conference. They're not going to be representing the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not going to tell you that this team is the best team in the East. I'm just telling you that with what I see with my own two eyes, they can compete with anybody, anyone. This is their best shot that they've had this season. And ever since that Boston game, which was really close, by the way, they've just continued to answer the bell. It doesn't matter how they get it done. They get the job done. That's what matters. Doesn't always matter as to how it looks. It matters what the result is. They won. They won the game. They came back and they won the game. And that was the bottom line. The three-point shooting by Portland in the first quarter was ridiculous. The Sixers missed their first 5 threes, and yet Portland hit their first 5 threes. It's just a typical Sixers game that you can understand. Okay, like they don't get off to the best start, but that doesn't mean that they're out of it. You can't count this team out. They fight back until the very bitter end. And even though, like, wow, I would never take like a team going up on you by 20 points. I would never like want to take my chances on that. They claw their way back. They claw and they keep fighting and they keep scratching and they do everything that they can to stay involved. And they lock down on the defensive side and they come up large. And they bite you. Because once they smell blood, you become a predator. That's how the Sixers team is. They're not the best, but they can compete with the best. And they can be the best. It's so funny to me how Embiid had a very good night. Harden didn't have such a good night. Maxey didn't have such a good night. Harris didn't have such a good night. And yet they just took the bull by the horn at the end. I don't get it. I don't understand it. George Niang had a couple of nice threes. But you just factor in everything that's been going wrong with this team. They're winning games, and they're doing everything that they can to just come out on top. I've yelled, I've cried with this team. I've literally was really upset with Daryl at the trade deadline for getting Jalen McDaniels and not anybody else, and then going after Dwayne Dedman, but they're winning games and they're putting it all together and they're getting their acts straight. And I give a lot of credit to the players, but I also have to give a little bit of credit to the coach in that sense. Even though I've been so harsh on him and I still don't, I'm still like not the biggest fan of him by any means, but I give him credit because his team is winning. So doesn't coaching have to impact that as well? I'll tell you one thing. If even though I didn't necessarily like the play call at the end and Embiid hit that shot, I'll tell you one thing. If they don't call that timeout, they don't win that game. They do not win that game because they needed to regroup. They needed to reassess the situation. And it looked like everybody was clueless out there, and you needed to control the tempo a little bit more. And I feel like that they got that with the timeout. And that was on Doc Rivers. He did not have to call that timeout. He could have just said, play on until the bitter end. And he decided not to. So he deserves a tip of the cap there. Because that was big. That was absolutely huge. The box score will literally tell you everything went into Portland's way. Like, except for the foul shooting. I actually thought that Portland did a really good job at guarding Joel throughout most of the game. And then finally he just took over. And they got a little bit more lazy, and Jusuf Nurkic was fouling a lot more. And I really thought that they just took advantage of so many mismatches in that second half of the fourth quarter. That was the best 6 minutes of basketball I've seen from this team. Those last 6 minutes were flawless. And, you know, we also can't forget, too, that Jusuf Nurkic obviously missed 4 free throws in a row. That's just, that is wild, my guy. But the Trailblazers were just like, take this from us. And the Sixers finally got over that hump. They tied the game up like a couple of times. Maxey had some nice big shots. Harden had a big shot at one point. And then somebody else that I'm missing. I can't think of it right now. But Embiid is the reason why you are where you are. He is just that solid. He is a beast. And if he's not your MVP, I don't know who is. Because that shot at the very end told me everything about Joel that I've truly believed. Who else would hit a reverse turnaround foul line jumper and sit right on his butt, like at the very end, in the guts of the game? A 7'2" man? Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. How can they build off of this? How can they try to take this into Sunday's game? I know that it's against the Washington Wizards, but every single game counts. I'm going to tell you that right now because I want the 1 seed. Seeding really does matter because I don't want to have to play a game 7 in Boston if I don't have to. I want to be at home. That does matter. It truly matters a lot. So if we end up going to the Eastern Conference Finals, we need the 1 seed. And if we end up going to the Eastern Conference semifinals too, it's important because now we don't have to play Boston or Milwaukee in that second round. I'm not saying that Cleveland's going to be any easier because Cleveland has a good team too, and they've been under the radar, but I just think that it works out so much better if you get the 1 seed, and every game really does matter from this point on. I'm saying that it didn't matter before, but you got to win these games. You just do. Doesn't matter how, win the games. And that's exactly what they did tonight. So feel free to comment down below. I'll overlay some of your some of your thoughts and everything. I just wanted to look a little bit more at the box score tonight. Jeremy Grant had a double-double. He had 24 points. He had a really good first half, and then in that second half, I don't know what happened to him. Lillard, I thought, played really well overall. He had a nice big 3 for them that put them up in the guts of the game. But it was really just Joel Embiid who made the difference. And this dude missed 5 foul shots, which is not even like him. And yet he had he had 2 steals, he had 3 blocks, and he had 39 points. Can't make this up, man. George Niang, too, had a really big game. That can't go unnoticed either because those threes that he hit were timely threes. He had the hot hand, and he literally brought them back into this game. He also had a nice steal at one point, too, like in the guts of the game. And I really thought that his energy and the burst that he had, along with DeAnthony Melton's, was the reason why Joel got help from those players. You know what I mean? Like those were like your 2 and your 3, if that makes sense. Like if Harden gets you 19 points, okay, that's not really like a James Harden-esque type of a game, even though he also had 8 assists and 9 rebounds. He played really well at the end, but I'm saying that if you get 25 combined points between 2 of your players, like that's your third. That's your third guy right there, and that will work. That will absolutely work. I wanted them to see who was going to give them contributions tonight. Daniel House had a really nice run. That dunk that he hit was monstrous. I didn't even know he still had that in him. The point is that you did get a lot of help from your bench tonight, and that saved you. That was one of the main reasons why you ended up coming back into this game, along with Joel too, because that was the number one reason. But man, that was incredible. That was absolutely unbelievable. And this win, we need to celebrate because this was a win of the season. We're now 44-22, 25-10 at home, which I love. And I don't know. I'm looking at the percentages. Like Portland shot better than us. They shot 52.5% from the field. They also shot 42% from 3. Right? And we did out rebound them 42-36. But like you would just think from the shooting percentages that it would just be like Portland all day. The Sixers, they found a way. That's what they do. All right. That's going to wrap things up here. I think we're going to close up shop right now. But I hope you enjoyed the first 7 minutes of this, with the play-by-play calls and all that. Again, I apologize. I don't know what the hell happened with OBS. It didn't even say that it stopped live streaming, which was the weird part. I don't know. My internet looks fine, but it is what it is. All right, but we'll be back at it on Sunday. I'll also be doing a podcast tomorrow, and we'll be talking about the Phillies with Andrew Painter, and we'll also be talking about the news that just broke today about the Flyers. Well, now it's yesterday because it's past midnight. Because that's a big deal too. So we'll combine that into one episode. I was actually going to do that tonight, but then when this happened, like this just needed its own sort of podcast. You know what I mean? So I love you guys. Y'all are the best. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. If you do enjoy this content, that is. If you don't, well, you don't have to. I would still really appreciate it. But I will catch you all on the next one. You guys are the best, and have a good night.